While 2022 has seen some amazing games released, there has of course been those games which just didn't sit well with players and overall just sucked. Today we'll be looking at the 10 worst games which were released in 2022, and these are based on the average Metacritic score for each game. Number 10, Blade Runner Enhanced Edition, Metascore 52. Released on Nintendo Switch, this version was an enhanced port of, to be fair, a fairly good 1997 point-and-click sci-fi adventure game set within the same universe as the first Blade Runner film. However, this remaster was not the hit that the original was. It wasn't even as good as an unofficial port that was released on PC a few years before. If an unofficial port is better than the official release, you know you've got problems. Critics and users complained mainly about the graphics of the game, which failed to live up to the expectations, and of course numerous glitches and game-breaking bugs. Number 9, Kamiwazi, Way of the Thief, Metascore 52. Originally released for PS4, this third-person action stealth game places you in the role of Ebizo, an honourable thief trying to survive the streets of Mikado. The game, a remaster of a Japan-only 2006 title, also released on the Switch and PC. Despite receiving a few positive reviews, to be fair, most critics felt that Kamiwazi didn't age very well at all. It was mainly slammed for its very outdated and outright awkward control system, which was just too much for most players to overcome. Number 8, The Waylanders, Metascore 51. An RPG with real-time combat set in two different eras in Glacier. This PC exclusive game from Spanish studio Gato began as a Kickstarter project that cited games such as Dragon Age Origins and Baldur's Gate as its main inspirations. But the Waylanders didn't come anywhere near the heights of the established titles. This was down to a frankly very buggy launch, with the developers never fixing the issues found in the game's early life. New Game Network described the game as the following: trying to imitate a variety of mechanics from leaders of the RPG genre, but failing to implement any of them effectively, while offering nothing original apart from the astonishingly poor dialogue. Ouch. Number 7, The Lost Oricru, Metascore 50. The Lost Oricru, originally released on Xbox Series X, is a Dark Souls inspired story-driven sci-fi action RPG that follows an immortal warrior who has crash-landed on a medieval planet on the brink of war. The Lost Oricru failed to impress reviewers, however, who didn't appreciate the charms of its protagonist, the poor writing throughout, and the clunky gameplay. You know the game is bad, and developers must warn the players not to use half of the abilities in the game because they're essentially useless. Number 6, Zorro, The Chronicles, Metascore 49. An early patch eliminated some of the bugs within this game, and its target audience was 6 to 12-year-olds. But even with those caveats, this humorous action game set in the 1800s California and based on the animated TV series of the same name failed to bring delight to the critics. It was heavily criticised for being way too easy, even for its young demographic, and being well below the current bar when it comes to graphics and gameplay alike, especially with it being released on the PlayStation 5. It also failed to provide much, if any, variation throughout the game, and despite an early patch, had many annoying bugs, which according to PlaySense made Zorro a game to avoid. Make sure if you're enjoying our list to hit that like button and of course subscribe for future content. Number 5, Lego Brawls, Metascore 46. Lego Brawls is the first team action brawler set in the Lego universe, and quite possibly the last, judging from the reactions of critics and gamers alike. The main problem with the game, you ask? It's a port to a mobile game which was released in 2019. It boasted a small number of upgrades and shockingly little depth for a PlayStation 5 title. Sadly, the game was dubbed as being half-baked and half-realised, squandering a real chance to make a Lego Super Smash Bros. Number 4, Zell, Metascore 43. A 3D open world platformer set in a mysterious world that blends sci-fi and fantasy elements, Zell received minor praise for its visuals and its original storyline. It also received praise for its combat, time-based puzzle system and narrative storyline. But don't mistake Zell for Zelda. The former is so unpolished and frustrating that few gamers actually enjoy the title. The problems aren't just on the Switch version of the game either. The PC version has also received similar poor reviews. The technical bugs and issues completely ruin the experience of playing the game, with more time being spent getting round and resolving bugs than actually enjoying the game itself. Number 3, Babylon's Fall, Metascore 41. The highest profile gaming dud of 2022 is up next, but somehow not quite the worst game of the year. Babylon's Fall, released on PlayStation 5, was an all-new IP from Bayonetta Studio Platinum Games that blended RPG and hack and slash action in a fantasy world dominated by a giant tower. Reviews were ugly from the start on this one. Poor visuals, poor sound design, and in general everything being very poor throughout and very poorly executed. What made it worse is that when the game launched, no one showed up to play, resulting in the very quick termination of Babylon's Fall. The publisher shut down the Babylon servers on February the 27th, 2022, rendering the online-only game completely unplayable. Number 2. CrossfireX, Metascore 38. The latest entry in the globally popular 15-year-old shooter franchise, the Xbox exclusive CrossfireX, found publisher Smilegate enlisting Remedy Entertainment to deepen Crossfire's story and create a single-player campaign alongside Smilegate's own multiplayer portion. Released as a free-to-play title like its predecessors. However, this Crossfire fell well short of everyone's expectations. Despite its relatively good frame rate and graphics, everything else was too poor to overlook. Bad voice acting, bad script writing, the AI programming was known to be poor overall controls, and the overall laziness and generic feel of the game in general did not lead to very favourable reviews. There was also an overwhelming push for the microtransactions within the games, which is always going to go down well with gamers. Number 1. Postal 4 No Regrets, Metascore 30. A sequel to 2003's less terrible Postal 2, but somehow even worse than Postal 3. Emerging in April after a few years in early access, with seemingly all of its bugs still intact, Postal 4 is at least open about its terribleness, using poor reviews in its promotional material. But even fans of the franchise's puerile sense of humour wasn't laughing about the new game's cheap and broken feel. The game's described as completely void of humour or anything remotely fun or engaging. Compounded with the game's lengthy list of technical issues, it was without a doubt the worst game released of 2022. So there we go, that is the 10 worst games of 2022 according to Metacritic scores. So if you enjoyed, don't forget to push the like button, comment down below, of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links down below, and of course we are partnered with TubeBuddy for all your YouTube needs, tag titles, thumbnails, all that sort of good stuff. So if that's something that you feel like you could do with a hand in, anything to do with YouTube, go download TubeBuddy today and trust me, you will not regret it. And of course, any worst games that you know that I haven't included in this list, let us know down below. And I've been CrossfireX. I shall see you in the next gaming video.